All right, guys. So you got your drift car, you ready to go to the track. You know there's going to be safety requirements. What do you need? What do you not need? And what do I recommend that you have? Stay tuned. We're going to get into it. All right, so we're gonna get into my safety bag here and talk about what you absolutely need, the bare minimum requirement for the track, what I recommend, what I run, and things that you should look for as you advance in drifting or as you kind of take the hobby a little bit more seriously. First thing I'm gonna discuss, it's pretty simple. The absolute bare minimum for most tracks, safety-wise, is you need a helmet, a good quality helmet, not just any helmet. All motorsports organizations require a Snell rating, and actually there's a few different ones, so we're going to get into that here in just a little bit, but they require an SA rated Snell helmet that is current. They require closed-toed shoes, no slippers, no sandals, no Crocs, closed-toed shoes, and pants. T-shirts are okay for a lot of drift events, but you need to have pants, and specifically jeans. First thing, let's start with pants, all right? You need pants. You might have an oil line come loose. You might have a coolant line come loose. Sometimes that stuff can seep into the cockpit. Hopefully it shouldn't with the firewall. If your car is set up right, it shouldn't. But weirder things have happened. That can happen. That's why they require pants. And that's why you can't run like pajamas. You can't run like really lightweight, like running pants. No, you need to have like some serious pants on there that are going to protect against heat and fire and hot liquids and that sort of thing. So we're talking jeans, okay? Or like a fire suit, protective clothing. Next, we're gonna move to shoes. You need closed-toed shoes. Now, I run driving shoes. We'll get into that and I'll show you that here in a second. But something like a Vans shoe, lace-up shoe, would be totally fine for most driving. In fact, this is a great thing just to start out. Cheap pair of Vans, good to go. I would stay away from, I'm a fan of like, I used to BMX, so I'm a fan of like nice wide shoes, like a skater shoe, that kind of thing. I would advise staying away from those. They're legal, but with a wider shoe, sometimes depending on your car, if the pedals are really close together, that they can get kind of clunky. And so I wouldn't recommend like a skater shoe, and I wouldn't recommend a boot because they get clunky. But something like a Vans or a lace-up shoe, perfectly fine. Another thing I would stay away from is like a super lightweight running shoe like this. Again, potentially legal, but there's two big things that I have an issue with. First, comfort-wise. It's a really soft sole on a lot of these running shoes, and you're gonna start making the sole of your foot raw as you push on pedals and stuff, especially like on my car where I've got no brake booster, so no boosted assist on the brakes, manual brakes. You're kicking the clutch, you're moving your feet around. Like I said, some organizations will let you on with a shoe like this, but I don't recommend it. It's going to really make your foot raw by the end of a long track period. The other more important issue I have with them is this breathable material. If you get hot coolant or oil or something on this shoe, it's going to burn your foot. If you get into a fire, there's not a whole lot of protection from a Vans, but there's a lot more protection here than there is here if you get in a fire. So I would not use running shoes. Maybe bring some to the track for when you're out of the car and you can walk around in them, but just a cheap pair of Vans, that'll get you legal, and then you can upgrade later on. Lastly, you need a helmet, and not just any helmet, but you need a helmet that is Snell rated, and specifically SA rated helmet. That's the bare minimum. Usually, currently, at least I should say, not usually, but currently, the bare minimum is a 2015 rated 2015 SA rated helmet. Snell is a third party, so they take helmets to their facility and test them. Something you need to understand is with DOT rating is a helmet manufacturer can take their helmet within their own factory and test it. And as long as they can claim that they passed the DOT testing, it gets a DOT sticker and approval. The downside of that is what they can simply do is they can simply beef up one little section of the helmet on the top and on the sides and do the testing in those areas and pass and claim it as a DOT helmet. That saves them money on manufacturing if they only have to beef up one little small section of the helmet. That's all it takes to pass DOT. And they can test it themselves in their own factory and just report their findings to DOT to get a DOT rating. I don't really trust that. The thing with Snell is a third party. They actually take the helmet to their facility, their own private facility, and they test it. And they do more extreme testing than what a DOT rating is, and they give this particular make of helmet, or make and model of helmet, sorry. They give this particular model of helmet a Snell rating. Either they approve it or they don't. So anytime you buy a Snell rated helmet, you know it's a safe helmet. So don't cheap out on that. Definitely get a Snell. Most tracks won't let you on if it's not Snell anyway. So don't waste your time buying a really cool looking helmet that's just DOT rated. Always make sure it's Snell rated. Now, since we're on the topic of that, and this is the most important thing of the whole video, I want to get into that. There are 3 different Snell ratings. So every 5 years, they up their standards or they renew their standards. So you'll have like a 2000 or 2005 or 2010. Those expire after so long. So right now, what the tracks are looking for is 2015 Snell rating. All right, so there are 3 different ratings that Snell provides. The first one is SA, Special Application. That's actually what you're looking for drifting. It is meant for auto racing. So it's got a thicker shell than any of the other ratings, and that is in case your head strikes a roll bar in an event of rollover when your head's bouncing around. If it strikes a roll bar that might be right next to your head, it has a thicker shell, it's much stronger, and that's to protect your head in case there's ever a chance that your head can strike a roll bar. The other requirement that Snell has for their SA status helmet is it has to have a flame-resistant material. It's not retardant, but it is resistant, so it shouldn't catch fire or burn in the event that you get trapped in a car on a fire, a car that catches fire. The next rating is a karting rating, which has the same structural standards as an SA helmet, but they don't require the flame retardant material necessarily on the inside. And that's because in most cases with a cart, you can get out of it and you're not strapped into it. So in a lot of cases when you crash a cart, you get thrown from it. Other times you don't, and you can hop out in a matter of seconds. And so the necessity for fire retardant materials or resistant materials aren't quite as profound. The last rating is a M rating. Now, some tracks have given a leniency to people who have a M-rated Snell helmet, and they'll let them on track in their car with an M-rated helmet, but they're shutting that down because it's not quite the same rating. They just understand that a lot of people who are into drifting may also have a street bike, and they already have a Snell-rated M helmet. That's great if your track lets you do that, but even if they do, I would not do more than 1 or 2 events with your M-rated helmet. You need to go out and specifically buy an SA-rated helmet. The reason being is it does not have as strong as a shell as the special application helmet, and there again is no mandatory specification for a flame-resistant material on the inside, because again, in motorcycle accidents, you're thrown from the bike, so you never have to be, you very rarely are trapped on a burning bike. So now a lot of M-rated helmets do have flame retardant or flame resistant materials, but it's not a requirement. And so therefore the track doesn't know every specific make and model helmet. They go off the rating. So definitely want to get an SA rated helmet. Now, the way you can check this, I'll pull out my helmet here. I recommend this helmet because this is a cheap option for like entry-level auto racing. This is a HJC automotive helmet. It's a something, here it is. It's an AR-10-3. So AR-10-3 is the model. This is their current Motorsports edition helmet. And the way you can test, now my helmet, it says Snell rated in the back. So that makes it easier, but that's not mandatory. What is, however, is underneath the cheek pad. Let me see which one. It's always under one of their cheek pads. There will be a sticker in here, and let me see if I can get a good angle of it. You see that orange sticker in here? That's a Snell. You can see it says 2015 right here. I'm going to give you a quick B-roll of it right now. All right, so that picture I just showed you, that is what you're looking for, and it's always going to be right here under the pad. You'll just fold the pad back and look for that big orange sticker in there. If it doesn't have that, and it has no markings anywhere, it's not Snell rated. The track is going to look for that sticker, and it's always going to be pretty much right in the exact same spot on every helmet. That's a requirement for a Snell rated helmet. It has to go in the same spot. So if you can't find one very quickly by pulling the pad down, it's not Snell rated, and the track's not going to approve it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what stickers you put on the outside. That's what they're looking for, is this cheek pad sticker here. And if it's not SA 2015 or newer, most tracks won't let you on track. So that's what you need to know. And again, this is a good entry-level helmet. Obviously, you can spend way more money and have a way nicer helmet than this, but that's a good start. Those are the bare minimum requirements. I also happen to know a couple people who have been trapped in fires, and it's scary. And the damage that can be done is scary, and so I definitely recommend that you take safety seriously. If you want to start drifting, you want to be in your car, you want to do a lot of track events, don't necessarily have to buy all of this gear right away, but I do recommend, slowly piecing together a full kit of gear. Now, the first thing I would recommend, some good gloves. For one, your hands are going to get raw. You're gripping on the steering wheel a lot. These are shirts tucked in. These are FIA rated, and they are flame resistant materials, flame retardant materials. So these will protect you in a fire for a short period of time. The reason I say this is if you have an engine fire, like a fuel leak, an engine fire, and it inflames the cockpit, you might have to get out of your car. You're going to have to get out of your car in a hurry. You don't want your hands getting burned up while you're trying to undo your belts, while you're trying to pull yourself out the door, while you're trying to grab a door handle, try to pull yourself out the window if need be. Fire can completely kill your visibility, and with you not being able to breathe, you can go into a panic, that kind of thing. Who knows? These protect your hands, which are the #1 tool of getting you out of the car if you do have a fire. So the first thing I would do is buy some gloves. And don't just buy any glove. Buy a FIA rated glove that is for auto racing and flame retardant. There's a ton of brands. You can get Sparco, Alpine Stars, Simpson makes gloves. I mean, there's tons of options out here. These are just the ones I went with, partially because they're pink. The other part is they got the old school like Japanese styling. But get yourself some good quality flame retardant gloves. Next thing I recommend, kind of goes with that, but a good driving shoe. Look at your feet are the closest thing to the firewall. If you have an engine fire, they're going to get hot. They're going to get hot real fast. And these are, again, SFI and FIA rated, and they will protect your feet in a fire. Also, they got this nice, you can feel through these, but they're still nice and hard sole, so you're not going to make your foot raw jamming on the pedals. They got a nice rolled back heel, so as your feet are on the floorboard, they can roll nice and easily. You don't have to, they'll slide, they'll move around as you need them. They're grippy on the bottom, but you can move your feet easier in these, and they're also slimline, so they'll fit in between your pedals really nice. That would be probably my second upgrade as far as, you know, beyond being just legal for your first drift track days. Now, aside from that, you can get really deep in this, but I also recommend one of these. Okay, if you have a cage and you're running a 5-point harness, you absolutely have to run some sort of head and neck restraint. Okay, now a Hans is preferred. I do not have a Hans as of yet, but these have been used for many years and have helped with injuries. Again, flame retardant materials, SFI, FIA rated, and they will definitely protect your neck a lot in an accident. Now again, a Hans device would be more preferred, but if you're just starting out, you don't have a ton of money to dump into safety gear, I totally understand. I would get one of these because these are like $50 from Simpson. You can probably find them a little bit cheaper from other brands. Just make sure that they're SFI rated, because that means that they are using flame retardant materials. Now, there's a misconception with these, and people think you got to tighten it around your neck real tight, and that's not the case. You actually want to keep these loose to your neck. And the reason being is they are to support your helmet, not your head. So when you have it around your neck, it should match the diameter of your helmet, like so. That is so the weight of your helmet does not force your head around. It's here on your shoulders, and that pad stops your helmet from sinking too far. You can still move your head freely all the way around, but it's going to stop the major whiplash motion of your helmet, and it's going to protect you from breaking your neck or getting a vascular skull fracture. All that stuff's really bad. You don't want to do that. So I understand that Hans devices are expensive. They don't work with quite every helmet, but if you can't afford a Hans device, at least pick one of these up. They're cheap enough. Just do it, man. All right, so you've got your helmet, you've got some basics, you got the shoes, you got your gloves, you get your neck pad. Next, I recommend step up and get yourself a fire suit. All right, I get it, these are a little bit pricey to start out, but I have seen a couple car fires in the aftermath, and trust me, if you ever get caught in that situation, you'll be so glad that you've got one of these. Yeah, they're a little warm, a little uncomfortable, but this is a good example. This is a Simpson Legend 2 fire suit, so it's a little bit thinner than some other ones. It's not going to give you quite the protection as like a full-blown expensive like $3,000 fire suit, but for a few $100s you can get this. It's going to offer you good protection, way more than a t-shirt or a jacket or anything like that will give you, and this will give you precious time in the car to get out should you be in a fire. This is fully flame retardant, and again, this is a Legend Sport, or a Legend 2 from Simpson, and it's designed to be a entry-level fire suit to get you into racing. This is something I would recommend picking up before you go full-blown and spend a ton of money on a fire suit. At least get you something like this. That's an entry-level one. You'll be glad you had it. So I also run Simpson fire retardant socks, a fire retardant undershirt, and underwear, so like pants that you wear underneath your suit. But I also recommend you get one of these before you go with the undershirt, before you go with the pants. Get yourself a balaclava or a head sock and socks, because that's going to protect your neck and your face region, and then also the socks are going to protect your ankle, that little bit between the fire shoe and the suit. But a balaclava fits like this, and that's going to protect your head region and down here on your neck. Now, I totally get it. This stuff's not exactly cheap, so I recommend start small. Just get yourself a good, comfortable, small shoe that is in a thicker material, like a Vans or something like that, and a good quality helmet. Start with the helmet first, and then as you go to events, just slowly piece together your fire protection and your safety gear. No one wants to think about an accident. No one wants to think about a fire. But if you ever get caught in that situation, you're going to be damn glad that you got that stuff. And when it comes to accidents, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You are going to eventually crash. So make sure that you're safe. Make sure you're doing it as responsible. And you, and especially your family, are going to be so glad that you had this stuff if you ever get caught in an unfortunate situation where your car catches fire or you get in an accident and a fire breaks out. I get it. Not everybody's got a ton of money to go drifting, but all of this that I showed you and talked about can be had for $1,000, the whole thing put together, or less. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but if you piece that together over the course of an entire year, it's a wise investment, and I hope you do. Stay safe out on the track and have fun. That's what it's all about. So next time, guys, thank you for watching. Got all this hot gear on, but my feet are freezing. By the way, shout out to Matt Haugen and Haugen Racing for this sick black and pink shirt. This thing is sick. Thank you. This thing is awesome.